Texas High Achievers. I present to you Mr. Gail Stolzenberg.
Thank you, Ken.
I would also like to add, Gail is a black belt of how many degrees do you have, Gail?
7 degrees, sir.
7
Wow.
7 degrees.
Yes,
black.
exactly.
Don't mess with Gail.
So, Jim has told you most of what you see on the screen. I just wanted to touch on the last item. Texas High Achievers was a company that we put together to bring in speakers, and you paid an annual fee and you got to see, I think, 4 speakers a year or something like that. I did it at the Hyatt Regency Downtown Hotel, and we'd have about 300 people in attendance. And I had some of the top speakers in the country. Jim Rohn, that some of you may know, the grandfather of networking, one of our speakers. I had Dr. Ivan Meisner there as one of the speakers, and many others. So, if agreeable to you, I'd like to cover for you some of the habits that successful people have in networking. And let's begin with the giver's gain philosophy. Now, I know everybody plays lip service to giver's gain, but the question is, do we really follow through with it? So, the picture up there is Bob Berg. Many of you may know Bob. He's the author of The Go-Giver. And The Go-Giver is now being used in our schools around the country to help educate the children. It's primarily the giver's gain story, is what it is. He's a good friend of Dr. Ivan Meisner also. The first law is value, and your true net worth is determined by how much you give rather than how much you're getting. Second is compensation. Your income is determined by how many people you serve and how well you serve them. Third is influence. Your influence is determined by how abundantly you place others' interests at heart. Fourth is authenticity. We have a tendency, and I'm included, to imitate others, particularly successful people. But you want to focus on being authentic, original. You want to be you. Reciprocity is the word that most people use when they're talking about the give and take situation. But reciprocity means that you are actually staying open to receiving. So, when you look at a ad on Facebook, many of them will say, free so-and-so, right? Free so-and-so. They want to do that to capture your email, right? Free. But how many of you are giving away something free? So I show a hand. You have something you give away to people. Because Jeff gives away money.
Still playing the lottery.
That's one of the most important things you could be doing is to give something. When I introduce myself, I'll say something like, Gail Stolzenberg, business networking consultant, helping business owners and salespeople generate better referrals and more connections. Now, the next thing I say is, for 3 things that you can do today at no costs to improve your networking, go to GailStolzenberg.com. So you always want to leave that in there as something that you can give away free. How many of you know Ronald Earl Wilson? Several of you know Ronald Earl? Okay. He wrote the book, as it's shown on the screen there, pardon me, Miscellaneous Ramblings of a Slightly Deranged Mind. If you knew Ronald, you would understand that. But this is his quote. Rather than catching and convincing, we need to be thinking in terms of attracting people and engaging them. Think about that. Second is building credibility. So I'm going to ask you, just take a poll. When does networking begin? When you first see them walk in that door? Okay. Or when you make eye contact? What about when you start shaking hands? What about when you start talking? No. Nobody agrees with any of that? All of it? Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So I'm going to tell you no. It happens when you wake up in the morning and you look in that mirror and you put on your networking face, if you will. Tony Robbins calls it peak state. Okay? Jonathan Sprinkles calls it position. But this is when you prepare yourself for networking. What influences people? We start off with credibility. And that begins with the appearance of that individual. I'm going to tell you about a book a little bit later on called Business Networking and Sex. Any of you ever read that? Not what you think.
Are you giving it away for
It's
free?
We digress.
We ought to have the other speaker up here. No. It's the difference between how women network and how men network. Men are always bottom liners. How can we fix this, or how can we get the job done? Women are discussers, and they share things, and they find out more about the person they're talking to than you'd ever want to know. So, they also are the individuals that you want to dress for. You see, women notice everything. They notice the hair, even if it's in the ears. They notice if the tie and the shirt match. They notice if the fingernails are trimmed. They notice if the boots are shined. So when you get ready, men, dress for women, and then you'll pass the test. Okay? Next thing is confidence. And you've seen somebody walk into the room and all the heads turn toward that person because they notice that individual is confident. It makes all the difference in the world when you're talking with someone if you exude some confidence. And then thirdly, this is the 3 C's. Thirdly is consistency. They want to have somebody that they know that they can count on, that does what they say they're going to do, that keeps their word. So, you want to know ahead of time who you're going to meet in this networking session, and you want to know what you're going to say to them. I asked Dustin for a list of all of the members, so I could be knowledgeable of everybody in the room, okay? And you want to have your goals set up for the meeting. Third thing, excuse me, I want to back up a second here. When I was regional director, one of the things I do is attend meetings and Leroy's doing that as a director for the chapter here. And I would listen to the 60-second introduction. I call it a micro-marketing moment, 60 seconds. And one of the things I would do is I would count some words. I'm going to tell you about that in just a minute. So, do you know how a dog knows when you're going to give them a bath? You see, dogs spend their whole life eating and sleeping and playing and watching you. And they memorize your movements, they memorize your words. And when that dog hears the word bath, they dive underneath the couch. You and I are the same way. We listen to what that person says, and there are some words that raise a red flag. Would you like to know what those are?
Yes.
I, me, mine, we, us, ours. On the back of that sheet that Jim has for introductions, I just made a notation on the number of times that each individual speaking this morning said, I, me, we, us, ours. You want to read just a few of the numbers off there, Jim?
4, 8, 3, 8, 7, 5, 5, 6, 4, 13, 7, 4, 4.
I was the one.
Can we just let it
Here.
go or something? What number?
We're gonna have that thing. Certain number.
Yeah, I
We won't put names to the numbers. But what happens, and this is the way the brain works, when somebody hears you say, we've got the best company, our products are wonderful, I'm great. Anyway, when they hear those things, they automatically have a feeling that person is trying to sell me something. Okay? So, what I'm going to suggest to you to do is that you write down your introduction. How many of you wrote your introduction down before you came here? Jim wrote his down. Jim's was the only specific referral I heard. I heard some generalizations. He named a specific company that he wants you to. You'll remember that. If each of you do that every time, your referrals are going to go through the roof. People only care about two things: whether or not you can help them solve a problem, or if you can help them make more money. Now, let me give you an example. And you can count the I's and the we's and so on in this. Do you know how most people have a difficulty introducing themselves? Well, some people know the magic words to keep that conversation going. How many did you count? I know, 0. So, Dustin, I know you'd like to know those magic words, and so we're here with all these people meeting. It takes me a few minutes to tell you, would it be okay to have coffee tomorrow? See how they help each other build a business?
Right.
All you want is an appointment. All you want is an appointment. You never, ever try to sell something in a networking meeting. Tony Harris Taylor, who's an author, coach, speaker, comes to a meeting with a goal of making 3 appointments. By the way, you never say, Joanna, I'll give you a call. Jim, I'll send you an email. Rick, I'll text you. Make the appointment today. Don't, that's just wasted time. They'll forget about you and probably won't respond to you well. Okay? So, number 3, building relationships. And one of the first things to do that is what visiting BNI chapters. I won't ask Leroy because that's his job. But how many of you in January visited a BNI chapter? Did you visit one?
3:30 said.
When you go to a BNI chapter and your category is not there, I mean, it's not a member, you got an opportunity for some referrals. If that category is filled there, you've got an opportunity for doing some partnership or some joint venture stuff together. I've seen it so many times. So once a month, no big deal. Put it as one of your goals to go visit another chapter. Secondly, go visit other meetings. How many of you attend other networking meetings? 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. A few of you are attending other networking meetings. I just put some up on the screen here for you. Can't tell if that red dot works or not. You won't now. Okay. The first one. This is Doug Winnie. Doug Winnie is the head of the Houston area for Action Coach. Action Coach is the largest coaching company in the world. They've got over 1,000. Actually, I think it's 1,150 coaches. Doug Winnie is rated #1 as an Action Coach. He'll be speaking next Wednesday for a group. It's actually the Houston West Chamber of Commerce group called PDN. He's got a best-selling book that is about business blind sides. Be a great thing, blind spots. Be a good thing for you. The next one is called Free Online Networking. It's a great training session. These two guys here, Scott Moran and Captain Joe Axline, conduct a 1-hour training session every Monday at 10 and every Wednesday at 10, and they teach you networking skills. Some of the things that, BNI is the best in the world, don't get me wrong, but some of the things that you haven't heard at BNI yet, you'll learn from there. The next one is Coffee Talk. That's on Thursday morning, and they always have a good speaker for that. The last one is KBC. That stands for Katy Business Connection. If you go down here to Highway 99 and go down a couple blocks, you'll find the Harris County Smokehouse. And at 8:30 every Wednesday morning, they have another group, outside group, that is a good group to talk to. I would have been there this morning if I hadn't been at the dentist's office. But anyway, that's just a few, and I'll tell you about more later. So, how many of you give presentations on BNI? Leroy probably does, but that's something everybody could be doing. It's non-evasive, and eventually somebody's going to ask you what you do, and you end up generating referrals out of it. So, how many of you are writing blogs? Got one, two. Talking about blogs. Posting on social media. I know all of you are doing that, but how effective is it? It's a question. How many of you have a newsletter that you put out? 1, 2. Greatest way to stay in touch with a customer. If you haven't, customer hadn't heard from you in 6 months, you're invisible. And the competitors are hitting them, okay? So stay in touch with them. Newsletter is a great way to do that. Hosting events. I've spent most of my life hosting events. Improving your 60-second introduction. Yeah, all right. Development 1, 3, 5, 7, 10. When you go to, and there's no cost involved in this, but free networking online and sit in on a session, you'll learn about how to do that. Give gifts. I always give gifts. I've given out hundreds of the books. Right. Great idea to connect with somebody. You see, there's this feeling And if you receive a gift from somebody, at some point, you owe them. You kind of got to give them, it's just a human feeling, right? You got to kind of give them something back. And that give them something back may just be doing a one-on-one with them and seeing how we can help each other. But there's all, you can give them articles, you can give them links to great information. So start putting give a gift in your, always appreciate and celebrate other people. Talk about how great they are. You heard Leroy talking about how great Jim was this morning. I always do. One-on-one meetings. So when I looked at the list up there, you could be doing more one-on-ones, couldn't you? I used to set a goal. I would have a referral at every meeting. I would have a visitor at every meeting. And I would set up at least minimum one-on-one meeting. Generally 2 or 3 of them get it done. So it's your business, but that will make a difference to you. Mass texting, how many of you are doing that? I'll give you some information on that. I do it all the time. You see, when you make a phone call, they're busy. You have to leave a voicemail. When they call you back, you're busy. You have to leave a voicemail. You're playing phone tag, right? You send a letter, that takes 5 days to get there, and those 5 to get back, so on. That can be not fair. If you write an email, only 1 out of 17 emails are read.
Yeah.
That's all you get. I know, I send out mass emails, and I get a count on how many people open the email. 1 out of 17 is the number. If we text, send out a mass text, all texts, majority, 90%, are open within 3 to 5 minutes. You know, when you check, you see you got a text, what do? You go look at it, right? So, think about mass texting as another way for you to build those relationships. And then also, every week I send out a list of the top networking events in Houston. If you'd like to be on that list, just let me know and I'll send it to you. Some of the people that are mentors of mine, I've got a new book that's coming out that's called Mentored by Millionaires. All these people qualify that are on the list here. But you need to start talking with people and developing that mentor relationship so that you can be helped. Continuous learning. Most successful people read 1 nonfiction book every week. I read 1 nonfiction book every week. What's common about all those books up there? Can anybody tell? They were all written by Dr. Ivan Meisner, the head of your organization. Everyone here should have a copy of every one of those books, but at least start off with that Networking Like a Pro. Oh, there we go. With Networking Like a Pro, because that'll give you a good start. And second, business networking and sex. You'll learn about working with men and women. Okay? But get them all. Take a millionaire to lunch. It's lonely at the top. Now, it really is. You see, people that are in a higher financial position many times have people that are just asking them for things.
Yes.
In a lot of cases they want it free, but they're asking them for things. What you should do is meet with that millionaire and see how you can help him or her. Okay? Find out what charities they're involved in and see how you can help that charity. And at some point you start building a relationship. And I showed you that list of people, that's just part of it, but I asked a question one time. Pull out your cell phone and let me know how many millionaires you have on your cell phone. only one person answered, and they said, I've got one, maybe. You want to be able to start contacting with people that can be beneficial to you, but you got to be beneficial to them first, okay? Attend seminars, training sessions all the time. Memory improvement. Ron White is my memory coach. I study memory every day. So important to your success. The sweetest sound is a person's name. You want to remember. Big courses in college. Subscribe to educational materials. How many of you are involved in a mastermind? A couple of you in a mastermind. Some benefit from it? Great benefit from it. Get involved with a mastermind. Develop good habits. We're going to talk about that in a minute. John Maxwell, who's probably the greatest leadership coach, he's written dozens of best-selling books on the subject. John Maxwell does 5 things every day. He starts out with prayer. He used to be a minister. Starts out with prayer. And then he reads. And then he writes. And then he networks. So forth. Pick out the 5 things that you are committed to do every day and do them. Share what you have learned. So if you learned something here today, share it with someone else. Next, pardon me, developing effective habits. Most successful people get up early. Doesn't mean you have to, but Martin Victor Hansen gets up at, got all the money he'd ever need, right? Wrote the Chicken Soup for the Soul series, 100 million books. Gets up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and he starts off by meditating and then exercising. So, give first. Block time. You want to write down the time periods for specific things and put them on your calendar, and then we're there as a reminder for you. One of the routines that I've used is a 5-minute routine. I spend 5 minutes making new friends, okay? Connecting with people. Then the next 5 minutes, I work on how to make presentations to those people. And then the next 5 minutes, or previous people, the next 5 minutes, I work on follow-up. So in 15 minutes, I do more than I used to do in an hour, because it's a block time and I'm watching the clock and doing it, okay? Journal, write down what happened to you today, what didn't. Zig Ziglar's got a great book for that. Network every single day. Make 2 new friends every day. You have to stay healthy. There's all different kinds. You just Google get healthy, and you'll find out how to get healthy. You can also Google how many chemicals are there in coffee. And Google will come back and tell you 1,500 chemicals. Okay? Terrible. Work on self-improvement. Jim Rohn's got some good books on that. Partnerships, joint adventure. Connect with your mentors. We talked about those folks. Be your best and share BNI. So I'm sharing some links with you. This session is recorded. You'll get a copy of that recording, and so you don't necessarily have to take pictures of this or try to write them down, because you'll get to see them again. Now, Leroy, I left an extra minute for questions.
Okay.
I want to thank you for having me here with you this morning and getting to share some things with you and getting to see all you guys again. So, appreciate it. If there's any questions that you have, raise a hand. If I just covered you up, well, that's all right too. Thank you. Appreciate it.